Ashwin and Rohin Iyer, known as the Toronto Brothers, are senior disciples of veteran musician and musicologist Sri S.R. Janakiraman. They have also received advanced training under Sri T.R. Subramaniam and Sri T.K. Govinda Rao.
They have won prizes in various music competitions across North America, including the Cleveland Tyagaraja Aradhana competition, and have given concerts in Canada, the US, and Chennai.
The Toronto Brothers concert presentations are intelligent and powerful, sharing a captivating synergy that makes for a memorable and exhilarating concert experience.
Srimati Sandhya Anand is a trained vocalist and violinist. She is a violin disciple of Sri T.B. Gopalakrishnan and R. Swaminathan, and has been trained in vocal music by Srimati Suguna Varadachari. A graded artist of All India Radio, she has performed extensively in India and abroad. She has won various awards and scholarships as a student of music.
Kumari Rajna Swaminathan started learning mridangam from her father, Dr. P.K. Swaminathan, at the age of 5, and came under the direct tutelage of Sri Umayapuram K. Shivaraman at the age of 8. She received the Best Junior Mridangam Artist Award from the Music Academy in 2007 and regularly performs during the Chennai December Music Festival. Rajna is a sophomore at the University of Maryland, College Park.
The Toronto Brothers performance kicked off Shruti's 25th anniversary season.
Toronto Brothers and Company, thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
This question is directed to the Toronto Brothers. What inspired you to become musicians?
I think it was a combination of brute force brainwashing and an inspiration from much greater musicians, obviously. We've had the pleasure and the privilege of listening to many musicians since we were young, be it M.L. Vasantakumari, Balamurali Krishna, the greats, M.S. Subbulakshmi. We've heard these people live and in recordings, and obviously we've learned from some of the greatest teachers in the world for Carnatic music, and that truly has been the inspiration for us. In addition to, like I said, a little bit of brainwashing on the part of our parents, forcing us to sort of buckle down and practice for Tyagaraja festivals like the one we performed in today.
Because in the end, you can't really force anyone to adopt anything, any kind of art, because it requires personal dedication, personal commitment. You can't force that, right? So what happens is, by forcing, you're basically creating a context. And eventually, the students decide whether they like it or not. Just ended up liking it, like all of you.
Hey Rajna, being a successful female mridangist, why do you feel as though women have not taken up this art?
I think that it's a combination of societal factors. They're just, once they get married, they don't tend to take up art as a profession. Of course, there's exceptions with singing and violin now. But the other thing is that it's seen as a more masculine instrument that requires strength and certain things that are associated with men, and it just never, I guess, came out that women would start playing. But there have been, actually, if you go back in Music Academy archives, there were women as early as the 1940s and 50s playing, but they sort of drop out and they never become prominent, really. So I think now we have a more open society that's, the glass ceiling is broken to a certain extent in other fields. So now it's like, oh well, maybe women can also do this. So I think that's the direction it's taken over time.
At what point did you realize that you wanted to seriously pursue Carnatic violin?
I would say I started learning violin when I was in 4th grade, and it was my mother who wanted me to take up violin along with vocal. I learned vocal, I do perform vocal as well. Along with vocal, an instrument is a must, is what my mother says. So, and that's how I took up violin. Maybe I should say, like, after my high school, I became more serious. I thought I should do it, I should work hard, put in more efforts, listen to concerts, more concerts. And practice as it's always required.
This question is directed to the Toronto brothers. Has your personal life as engineers ever interfered with your passion for Carnatic music?
Let me feel this one.
Yeah, I think we should.
You know, it's a choice actually that you make in your head whether something interferes with your work or not. There seems to be a misconception that people can really only do one thing. Right? But there are lots of successful role models, particularly in Carnatic music, who can show that they can do multiple things. And I think, in fact, all of us are capable of that. And in fact, all of us do that. We just have to add something into the mix and be mentally ready to say that I will not compromise on this and I will not compromise on that. Okay? But there is that factor of time. So how do you balance time? Certain things need to be sacrificed at certain times, you know, but more than time is that mental dedication. If you know that if you have a certain standard that you have set for yourself, somehow it'll happen. You will make time naturally. You'll give up something, but you won't feel like you're giving it up because you're so motivated and so committed to pursuing the art and bettering yourself in that direction. And I'll tell a small anecdote. Sometimes it gets hectic. In 2001, Rohan and I were invited to perform at a major music festival in North America, so it was a big deal for us. It was April 17th, 2001. I had 2 final exams for my 4th year engineering, one on April 17th and one on April 18th. And so we thought perhaps we'd have to cancel this concert and just say, no, we can't do it. Then I had this idea to go to my administrators and ask them whether they'd be willing to send the exams to the university near that festival. And they said, look, we'll do it, provided that you get a professor over there to watch over you as you write the exam. And that's what they did. They sent the exam there. Rohan and I went. We drove all the way, several hours from Toronto. And I did the exam in Cleveland. And when I left, the car was waiting to take us to the auditorium to do the kacheri. When we were done, came back, studied for the next exam the next morning, did the exam the next morning. When I left, the car was waiting to take me back to Toronto. Now, I tell you this not because it was some extraordinary thing. We were happy to do it. Whatever it takes to be able to do both.
I think, just to add to what Ashwin said, I agree with everything he says. I don't think that they have to be at odds with each other. In fact, I would argue the opposite. I think that music sometimes allows us to do better in our other pursuits and our other extracurriculars. You know, whenever you're feeling a little stressed out with all your schoolwork or your homework or what have you, or your other music that you might be doing, you know, Western music or karate or martial arts or whatever, you can always just go to your basement, you know, turn on the Shruti box or take out your instrument and just start singing or playing, and it will literally clear your mind, almost like yoga. You know, it just clears your mind and you can think more, you know, clearly and with a refreshed sort of outlook on your studies as well. So I don't think they have to be at odds with each other.
And lots of studies have shown that music is a natural way to improve people's abilities in technical fields. And not only is it, there's a technical aspect, you all know this as singers and musicians, there's a technical aspect, but there's also an aesthetic aspect, an abstract aspect. You could become a better painter by being a good singer or musician. You could become a better engineer by being a good musician. So Rohan is right, they're not at odds with each other at all. So find a way to make them balance.
Do you notice any differences between your style of playing and that of other mridangists?
There's definitely different schools of thought in mridangam. So my guru, Rajna Swaminathan, has his style, which is derived from the Tanjavur. So in that sense, yes, I see the difference between my playing because of the lineage. But then also there's personal choices that you make. You listen to several people, you get ideas from, you know, different, not only different artists. For me personally, I get ideas from different genres too. So I listen to different kinds of music, not just Carnatic, and I get ideas from Afro-Cuban rhythm, you know, just Western classical percussion. They're just new ways to look at my own, I guess, way of playing, and then those give me new ideas, and that's my personal style that I establish. But definitely there's the lineage aspect as well. So both of those sort of balancing.
Srimati Sandhya Anand, as a violinist, what differences do you see in accompanying a duo in comparison to a single vocalist?
Yeah, good question. No, always when accompanying a duo, you have to be very, very attentive. Each has a different idea, and especially when I sing the swarams, I have to shift my ideas. I have to keep shifting. Once Ashwin sings one pattern, I'll have that pattern sticking in my mind. And once Rohin sings the next pattern, I'll have to erase the next pattern and bring in this, because otherwise it doesn't match. It doesn't match.
Being a duo, how do you manage to maintain your coordination on stage?
Good question.
Well, to be honest, we're not 100% coordinated on stage. You probably notice, a few, misalignments here and there, lack of synchronization here and there. But for the most part, it's pretty easy, and I'll explain why. When we learn under the same guru, and we learn at the same time. So as far as rendering, the sort of created aspect of music, the Kalpita Sangita, that aspect of it is memorized exactly the way that our guru taught it to us. Then again, we do occasionally disagree on, did S.F.J. Mama sing that Sangati? Are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he sang it. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. So that happens, and at some point, we've even talked to our guru about this, and how do we resolve these conflicts that come up? And he said, why argue? Just do both Sangatis, And it's just so simple for him, but for us, it's a little bit challenging.
Music is the thing that has most brought me and Rohin together as brothers. It's also the only thing, really, that has most taken us apart, but very temporary.
Meaning that we argue about it. To the very end. But
and the argument is an answer to your question, actually. Why do we argue? Because we're striving for exact synchronization. So we argue because we want to know what's the authentic way. Which way did S.R.J. Mama teach us? He remembers one, I remember another. It's 90% the same. We argue over that 10%, right? Because there's importance in authenticity. Okay, creativity is great. Okay, Rohin might think of a Sangati on stage, or I might think of a Sangati that I should put. And that's fine. What the misalignment that you see in our synchronization is because each of our creative tendencies are coming out. And sometimes they conflict, sometimes they add. So if Rohin sings a Sangati, I'll say, Sabash. I might like it. Other times I would just be like, and vice versa.
But one thing that has to be remembered is when you're singing in a duo, you can't be as creative as if you were singing solo, because what you sing doesn't necessarily mesh with what the other person is singing. So you have to be really synchronized, and it all has to sort of blend really well. But we're fortunate in the sense that we sing in the same Shruti, we've learned under the same gurus. All the compositions we know were taught at the same time. So that aspect of synchronization, we're pretty fortunate. It just sort of comes naturally. But the other aspects, we have a lot of creative freedom when we're singing individually, Swaram or Neravo or Alapana. So we get to be creative at times and not so creative at other times.
And the flip side of this is that because of this type of interaction that we've developed between the two of us, we maintain Patantras as they were taught to us. So we will be singing something pretty much the same way now that we did 15 years ago.
Because we keep each other in check.
We keep each other in check.
So it helps to have someone to bounce ideas off. And a little bit of healthy sort of competition as well.
That's right.
Once again, thank you for taking the time out to speak with us.
Thanks very much, guys. This is awesome, by the way, that you take the initiative to do this.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.